We are here in Delta talking to Carla Qualtrough. She has been the MP for Delta since 2015 and the Cabinet Minister since 2015. Carla, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Great. So tell us a bit about what's going on here at this campaign headquarters. It's very exciting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we are here running my campaign for re-election for the Liberal Party of Canada. We've got a great team, hundreds of engaged, young in particular, volunteers who really want to get out the message about our positive, hopeful vision for the way to move Canada forward.
Right. It's very exciting, actually, that the youth are getting involved in politics. I saw a few of your volunteers here, and it's a nice team that you've got. So tell me a bit about what's been happening during COVID. I know that you had a role to play as far as making things happen.
Yeah, so I've been on the Cabinet COVID committee since COVID began. Since the beginning of the pandemic, there's been a core group of us who've been helping the Prime Minister make all the decisions around helping Canadians and workers and businesses. So as Minister of Employment, I was responsible for the CERB. So my team developed the CERB, we drafted the legislation, put it through the House of Commons. We did the student benefit, the seniors one-time payment, the payment for persons with disabilities, all the changes to EI. Basically, all the supports for workers were under my watch, I guess I would say.
Right. Okay. Well, that's very good. I mean, that was helpful to a lot of Canadians.
Yeah. Over 9 million people access the CERB and about 5 million the other recovery benefits. So a lot of people got help.
Right. And so your campaign that you've got going on, what sets you apart from the rest of the people that are also vying for that same coveted position?
It's a fair question. So what I hope people have learned about me over the past 6 years is how deeply I care for our community and the people in it, and how hard I'm prepared to work to champion the issues that matter most to them, to make sure Ottawa knows what matters to Delta, and to make sure the decisions we make as a government reflect that. So I really hope people understand. I hope people have seen how much it matters to me to do a good job.
Right, and so you've been, since 2015, you've been the MP. So what does that mean to you in the community?
Well, I certainly have learned a lot over the past 6 years. I've got to know many business owners and the farmers and our teachers and our union members and our firefighters, who I was lucky enough to have endorse me again for the third time, which is just a wonderful, it's just a reflection of the relationships that I have within this community. And I just keep learning more, and I look back and think we're able to do things better and better every time because we just keep trying harder and working harder.
Right. And there is an Indigenous population here in Delta, as well as the Tsawwassen area.
Yeah.
So what can you say about reconciliation and, the Liberal Party and anything about that? Is there anything that you want to add about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand the journey we've been on as a country over the past 6 years with the Liberal government and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples across the country, and really working on a nation-to-nation, Crown to Métis basis. This isn't us, as has been done historically, as a government imposing anything on anybody, and really supporting, helping empower and give back what was rightfully theirs.
Right. And then I also know that the Liberal Party has talked a lot about daycare and that type of thing. I mean, we just spoke about CERB and helping Canadians, that way. How about the daycare, the $10 a day daycare? This is my favorite thing. So
Is it? As a mother, this is my favorite commitment in our platform, and I think it's game-changing, particularly for women. So as Minister of Employment, what I've seen happen over the past years, women have really left the workforce because of their care responsibilities, whether it's for children or aging parents. They've really, and if we want women back into the workforce, the biggest barrier to doing that is expensive childcare. So we know that women's labor force participation rates are their lowest in the past 40 years because of the pandemic. Women were sidelined, but they were also at the front lines. So we owe it to our women to, we're not going to succeed as a country unless we bring everybody with me, but for a family in Delta, that'll save about $11,000 a year per child.
Is that right?
Right, that's
okay.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Every month we are going to reduce fees in half by next year, and then we're going to get to $10 a day childcare. Right. It's just game-changing. I'm very excited about this one.
Yes, I can tell. That's wonderful. And then what about equality? I know that that's part of the platform, as well as equality for everyone.
Yeah. So before politics, I was a human rights lawyer, and I spent a lot of my time within the human rights system in Canada helping fight the discrimination that various groups were facing. And for me, it was people with disabilities, because I have a disability as well. Right. But what we found in that system was very reactive. You have to wait until someone's discriminated against before you can actually help them. Right. So they're not denied a job, they're denied a service. And so we're really trying to change both the legal framework and the way we approach equality to proactively stop discrimination from happening before it even starts. And again, another game changer.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I know that our viewers do know who you are, but for those that are new to, your campaign or even knowing about you, maybe just tell them a bit about the fact that you do have a disability and how your family handled it, because I read about it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you. So yeah, I was born legally blind, which basically means without my glasses, I can see about 5%, and with my glasses, it's 10%. So for me, that's double, which is great, but it's still not very much. I have no depth perception. Light really bothers my eyes. I can't read fine print or small print. So all my life, I've had to do things a little different. And I've been in systems, and my parents helped me figure out a way to self-advocate, but that weren't really designed for kids who couldn't see or for kids who couldn't walk or hear. And so, they fought for me every step of the way to make sure I was included, whether it was in school, whether it was in sports, whether it was in anything I wanted to pursue. And that, I kind of caught the bug. Right. And I fell in love with the idea of systems that were inclusive. And that we could make things inclusive for everybody. What if we did this in education or transportation or whatever? Right. And that really put me on this path to where I ended up. Right. Which is kind of crazy.
It kind of is in line with your whole platform with the Liberal Party, so that's really nice how that came together.
When I was approached in 2015, it was really an easy sell because I had been interested in politics, but the Liberal Party approached me, and particularly on the disability side, recognized that governments hadn't done very much. Right. And 22% of our population has a disability, but governments had never taken a lot of interest in assuring that our systems were inclusive for people with disabilities. So the leader, who's since become Prime Minister, said, why don't you join our team and help me fix this? And it didn't take much to convince me, and here we are. And I was Canada's first ever minister responsible for people with disabilities.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Very proud moment.
Well, you're very accomplished. I mean, people might use, it might say that a disability would be an excuse to not try to do something, but you're like, this is an ability,
well,
right?
This is just who I am, right?
Yeah,
it's how
absolutely.
I identify. It's how I literally don't know any other way to live and can't imagine. It's so part of who I am and really shaped the way I look at the world and interact with people. And, and that's what I'm always saying to people. Like, just people with disabilities are creative. We are innovative. We are problem solvers. We have to be, right? Because we spent so much of our time in systems that don't work for us and weren't designed for us.
Right.
So we rarely comfortably think outside the box.
Right.
Yeah.
And your campaign, I saw your mother as soon as I walked in there. She's your biggest supporter, wearing a shirt to support you. So tell us a bit about the people that are on your team supporting you and, knocking doors and doing all the things that they do to make sure that you are reelected.
Well, yeah, thank you. And I do owe them such a debt of gratitude. We have hundreds of people who are regularly here making calls, outdoor knocking for us, talking to Deltans about things that matter most, figuring out what matters most and how we can convey a message that we have your back on these things, whether it's finishing the fight against COVID or climate action or childcare, housing, in Delta is a really big issue. Right. And people who care about those things have found a place here to volunteer and be part of addressing these big issues with us as a party. So, there's a lot of energy, a lot of young energy, as you can kind of tell, but it's super. It's really fun, and I'm very grateful because these are tough gigs.
Right, exactly.
Volunteering.
For sure.
Very intense, very long hours, and people do it with a smile.
Right. You've got a good team behind you, right? So you mentioned housing, and you said that it's a bit challenging for Delta. In what way?
Well, affordable housing, like everywhere in the Lower Mainland, is a big issue in Delta, and that translates into people not being able to afford homes here, people not being able to take jobs here because they don't live here. There's not enough housing options in Delta, and I would say the same would be for Surrey, Richmond. It's not unique to Delta, but I'll talk about Delta. Right. We don't have enough housing options to meet the diversity of housing needs that we have in our community. So whether it's rental units, first-time buying options, whether it's assisted living for people with disabilities, seniors, there's not a lot of housing around. And so I'm particularly interested in what we're doing with the Liberal Party to address that, helping make homeownership possible through a number of initiatives, helping diversify the stock of housing here in Delta so people can rent, people can work, people can see for themselves a future where they get to buy a house. Right. And young people often don't feel that way right now.
Yeah, it's a bit challenging for sure on Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then one last thing I want to ask you is about the climate and the platform around climate. If you can speak to that, that would be great.
Wow, again, you know, everybody is talking about our climate plan this time, which makes me really excited because climate economists, climate scientists have come out, you know, recently Andrew Weaver, the former Green Party of BC leader, has come out in support of our platform as being the most ambitious, but also the most deliverable. We can actually do, when we've got targets and actions to actually deliver on the things we want to do. And here in Delta, people care very deeply about the environment. We are surrounded by the ocean, we have the bog, we have the Fraser River estuary, and so there's a lot of environmentalists here in Delta that want to see us, you know, banning single-use plastics and getting rid of the export of thermal coal and getting down to net zero emissions and having options to buy electric vehicles and charging stations, being able to retrofit their homes so they're more energy efficient. This all really matters to people here in Delta, and all of that's in our platform.
There seems to be a big trend toward the electric cars, of course. So are there a lot of charging stations in Delta?
We've invested significantly kind of from our end at the federal government in partnership with the municipality, but I suspect people would tell you we could sure use more.
Yeah, of course.
People still plan their day and where they're going to go and what car they're going to use based on where they think they can park.
Right.
And so we have to get past that. Like, we really have to get people to a point where it doesn't matter where you go, you can choose and take your electric vehicle because there's a place to park and to charge.
Right, absolutely. Encourage people with the stations. Okay, so if you could share with our viewers whatever it is that is going to make them vote for you, you can go ahead and share it with our viewers now.
Well, thank you. So first of all, I want to thank the people of Delta for having the confidence you've had in me over the past 6 years. I'm asking you to keep allowing me to go on this journey with you. A vote for Carla, of course, is a vote for hard work, but it's also a vote for a hopeful and positive future where we tackle climate change, we get everybody $10 a day childcare, we work on housing here in Delta, we create jobs and growth for our businesses, and we don't leave anybody behind in doing it. You know, it's really important that everybody comes with us and everybody is better off.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It was good to talk to you.
Pleasure.
Good luck to you on the 20th. Yes, thank you.